Hi there, and welcome to Hibbert's Hangout. Today on the channel we've got a game of Marvel Crisis Protocol, in which it will be the Inhumans taking on the Wakandans. The threats being played today is Mystic Wakandan Herb, Fact, or Fiction, which there are two herbs on your opposite side of the board, which you need to retrieve and bring back to your own side, to the vessel. And we also have Mayor Fisk vows to find missing witnesses, which is a threat 16, which is the threat being played today, and there'll be two witnesses on map C, which is the left and right hand side of the board, and if you secure those you'll net 2 victory points for your team. So we'll show you the rosters for the team and get into the match from there. The Inhuman roster today consists of Black Bolt, Medusa, Lockjaw, and Ronan the Accuser. Team tactics cards for the Inhumans consist of Attilan Rising, Inhuman Royal Family, Last Minute Save, Advanced R&D, and Tactical Analysis. The Wakandans today being led of course by Black Panther consist of Shuri, Killmonger, Okoye, and Storm. As for the Wakandan team tactics cards, they consist of Vibranium Shielding, Wakanda Forever, Usurp the Throne, Extreme Conditioning, and Warpath. So here is the board for today's matchup. We have the two witnesses on map C, which is the two far points on the left and right hand side, and then we've got the herbs and the vessels set up on map A. So for our Wakandans we have Okoye, Black Panther, Killmonger, and then over on the right hand side is Storm and Shuri. And facing them down on the left hand side is Ronan all by himself, and then over on the right is Medusa, Lockjaw, and Black Bolt. So here we are after deployment. So the Wakandans will have to try and get down the board, claim this herb and take it back to their vessel on the far side. As for the Inhumans, they'll have to go up there, claim that herb, and take it to their vessel down there. So it was Lockjaw getting things started in round number 1. And so he was such a good boy, he gained 3 extra power due to being next to Medusa and or Black Bolt. He then spent that power to teleport Black Bolt up by paying 2, and then he moved up himself short, but stayed within 2 of Medusa, so she can possibly use her ability in the next turn. So Black Panther just did 2 long moves up the board and got himself within 1 of that civilian to contest it, as well as within 1 of the herb, and has paid a power, so he will be picking it up for Wakanda. So, due to having less models to activate at the moment, the Inhumans have decided to pass their turn, so it'll be back over to Wakanda. So it was Shuri up next for Wakanda, and she just followed her king into battle, doing 2 medium movements to get within securing range of that civilian. Black Bolt was up next for the Inhumans. He did a medium move to get within securing range of that herb, paid a power to pick it up, and then took it medium behind that taxi to hopefully get some cover and possibly block line of sight. Storm was up next, and she just did 2 mini movements to get within securing range of that civilian. So Medusa was up next for the Inhumans. She had to do 2 mini movements to get to just where she wanted to be, which was within 2 of Black Bolt and within 2 of Lockjaw. She then spent that 2 power, that 1 extra that Lockjaw gave her, to teleport Black Bolt with her Royal Decree, and placed Black Bolt within 1 of her, and that was all she did for her turn. Shuri was up next for the Wakandans, and she just did 2 mini movements, getting herself behind that taxi, knowing that Storm was all on her own to secure that civilian. Ronan was up to finish things out for the Inhumans. He just did a medium movement, and then fired his universal weapon into Black Panther. He did get a wild, so he was able to push him off it, so he pushed him slightly into Shuri, not that it matters much. And it also got through for 1 point of damage and giving Black Panther the shock condition. And Killmonger finished off the round with just 2 medium advances to get himself further down the board. So this is how the board looks at the end of round number 1. You have the Wakandans securing both of the civilians, and the Inhumans, they've moved Black Bolt most of the way to their vessel, but that's not going to get many victory points. So at the end of round number 1, it's just the Wakandans scoring points, and that'll be 4 points due to holding both civilians as we head in to round number 2. And just going here during their cleanup phase of round number 1, Both the civilians have moved, with the left-hand one moving towards Killmonger, so it inflicts a point of damage and stun to Black Panther and Killmonger, whereas the right-hand side was moved towards that group of Inhumans away from Storm. It was once again Lockjaw starting things out in round number 2. He did 2 teleports for his turn. First, he was a good boy, so he gained that extra power. Then he spent 2 on teleport for Black Bolt, moving him down the board towards that vessel, and also 2 to move Medusa to in securing position of that civilian. Black Panther was up first for the Wakandans, and he just did a long move, followed by paying his 2 power to pounce himself short, to where you see him get himself closer to that vessel. And then for his second action, since he can only move once, he just shook his stun condition. So Black Bolt was up and he did a medium movement to get within range of the vessel, and then he fired an energy bolt into Killmonger, and this got through for 2 points of damage. So if Black Bolt's able to stay there until the end of the round, he'll score his team 4 victory points, all on his own. So then we had Killmonger for the Wakandans. He started things out by paying 3 power for a Black Ops strike, did this into Ronan. He got through for 2 points of damage with a wild, so he has been staggered. Ronan didn't care for this, so he spent that 2 power to judge him. And then as Killmonger was placed within 1 of Ronan, he was then within vibranium weapons striking range of Black Panther. So he did this and did 1 point of damage to the King of the Inhumans. So Medusa was up and it was a very underwhelming turn for her. She ended up doing 2 Braids Bashes and neither one getting through for any damage, as she only rolled 1 hit on both of them. So Shuri was up and she did a medium move, and as you can see, Black Bolt is no longer in range of that vessel, as she had him within range to do some Panther gauntlets and got through for 1 point of damage, and she's pushed him away short. To finish things off for Inhumans was Ronan. He had to shake that stagger for his first action, and for his second he just did a universal weapon into Killmonger as his energy defense is lower, and he did get a wild to push him away, so it dealt 1 point damage and shock. Okoye was up, she did a medium move, and then she did her strike into Ronan, and he was able to block that 1 incoming damage. It was down for Storm to finish things off, and she did her medium movement to get within securing range of that civilian. She then did a lightning bolt into Medusa, which got through for 1 point of damage. And then she paid her 3 power to pick Medusa up and throw her into Lockjaw, dealing 1 extra point of damage to Medusa, and it dealt 2 to the bestest boy himself. So at the end of the round, this is how things look, and once again those humans are going to score no points, as Black Bolt got pushed off of that vessel and no one's on a civilian, whereas Wakandans will be getting that 4 for having 2 of the civilians. So at the end of round number 2, the Wakandans will go up from 4 points to 8, and the Inhumans will stay at nothing as we head in to round number 3. The civilians have been moved, with the right hand side coming once again down towards the Inhumans away from Storm, and the one on the left hand side has been moved within 1 of Okoye and Killmonger, dealing a point of damage and stun to them both, and that leaves Killmonger with just 1 health remaining on his healthy side. Once again, it was Lockjaw getting the round started, and he generated 3 power for being a good boy next to Medusa, in which he spent on Drop It, in which he picked up the car and threw it into Storm, and she did not block any, so it dealt 3 points of damage to her. He then moved up short to get within contesting range of that civilian. So Shuri was up, and she did her medium movement to get within securing range of that citizen, fired some Panther gauntlets into Black Bolt, and pushed him all the way short to the edge. So Ronan was up. He tried to do a strike into Shuri. This was bodyguarded by Okoye for 2 power, and it got through for 1 point of damage and was able to throw it into Shuri, and that did 2 points of damage. He then tried to do a second strike once again into Shuri. Okoye spent her last 2 power to bodyguard this, and that got through for 1 damage with the throw. So she was thrown into Shuri, dealing that last point of damage necessary to daze Okoye, and Shuri took all 3 incoming damage. So Ronan's managed to daze both the women of Wakanda in 1 turn. So Black Panther was up. He did 1 long move to get within range of that vessel, And for his second action, he is going to shake that shock condition. So hopefully he'll be securing 4 points for Wakanda. So it was Black Bolt to activate. He did his medium move, and unfortunately there's not much else he could do. So he spent 2 power for tactical analysis, used it to move Ronan up short, so he is in contesting range of that civilian. So it was over to Killmonger, who did a vibranium weapons into Ronan, which did no damage. He followed this up with a second vibranium weapons, which thanks to focused on the kill against 2 extra die, this time rolled really well and did 6 points of damage. So Ronan's been dazed, which at that point that kicks in is the accuser, so he gets to make an attack back, and he chose to do a universal weapon as Killmonger's energy defense is lower, and he only needed to do 1 point of damage to daze him, in which he did. So I'm not sure about whether kill count activates as it's a superpower and Killmonger's technically dazed. But we're going to say that it does count, so he gets it. But I know Ronan would technically daze after Killmonger. If anyone knows, feel free to drop a comment down below for some clarification. But we're going to play it as Killmonger is going to get that kill counter, but he is going to daze on his own activation. So it was over to Medusa to finish things off for the Inhumans for the round, and she spent 2 to royal decree herself to the other side of Lockjaw, and then performed 2 medium movements to get within securing range of that civilian. And then we had Storm finishing off the round. She fired a lightning bolt into Lockjaw, which got through for 1 point of damage and the shock condition, and then she advanced medium to get within contested range of the civilian. So this is the board at the end of round number 3. We have quite a few dazed characters on the left hand side, but Medusa made it all the way over there to secure that civilian. Unfortunately for the Inhumans, Black Bolt did get pushed off of the herb, so he won't be netting any points for them, whereas Black Panther has taken the herb all the way to the vessel and will be scoring 4 points, and Storm and Lockjaw are contesting that other civilian. So the Inhumans are finally on the board, thanks to Medusa making a run all the way across the board for 2 victory points, securing that civilian, whereas Wakanda will score 4 from Black Panther holding that herb on the vessel, taking them to 12 as we head into round number 4. Flipping their cards is Killmonger, Shuri and Okoye for the Wakandans, and then Ronan the Accuser for the Inhumans. So we'll just see here that the witness on the left hand side was placed within 2 away from Medusa and anyone else, so if they want to go grab it they'll have to use a move action, whereas the one on the right hand side stays where it is thanks to Lockjaw and Storm both contesting it. The Inhumans are starting off from round number 4 with the Inhuman royal family and spending 2 power as Medusa, Ronan and Black Bolt. So then we did have Ronan. He tried to do a Kree Justice into Shuri. This was bodyguarded by Okoye, and it was here he used those rerolls from the Inhuman royal family, and it dealt 4 points of damage, which is necessary to take her out. It would have dealt her the stagger and stun, but like I said, Okoye is out of the game. He also had explosive, so it dealt 1 to Shuri, and he followed that up by spending his last 4 power for another Kree Justice, this time into Shuri for 2 points of damage, but it does deal the stagger and stun condition to her. So Shuri activated, she had to shake the stagger for her first action, and for the second action she used Sonic Crush, going into Medusa, which was 7 die, and she only rolled 1 hit. Didn't even get a while to deal the stagger to her, so unfortunately that's Shuri done for the turn. So it was over to Black Bolt. He did a medium move and followed that up by spending all 4 of his power for a Master Punch into Shuri, and this dealt 5 points of damage, which was necessary to take her out of the game. Unfortunately, there's not a lot the Inhumans can do to win, so they're just playing to try and score a couple of victory points, but they're certainly making the Wakandans hurt for their victory. So we're going back over to Wakandans, and they've chosen to use Wakanda Forever. Probably should have been used on Shuri's turn last turn, so she could have got that extra attack off, but they're using it now and paying a power as Killmonger and Storm. So with Wakanda Forever, Killmonger did some vibranium weapons into Medusa for 2 points of damage, and Storm fired a lightning bolt into Lockjaw, also dealing 2 points of damage. So Killmonger was up and he did indeed live up to his name. He did a vibranium weapons into Medusa for 2 points of damage, necessary to daze her. He then earned a kill counter from that, followed that up by charging for 2 power, spending 3 for a Black Ops strike on the end of it, but also spent 3 for Usurp the Throne. And he has indeed dazed Black Bolt, as he would have done 7 damage to him. So Killmonger's going to net the Inhumans 2 points, taking them up to 14. And all that then needs is Storm to either hold on to that citizen against Lockjaw, or Black Panther to stay and secure the herb. So with that there, Wakandans have won the day, claiming their herbs. So there we have it. The Wakandan forces were able to defeat the invading Inhumans and hold on to their mysterious Wakandan herbs. Quite a high-scoring game for the Wakandans, not so much for the Inhumans. I think a couple of position mistakes were made for the Inhumans, putting them out of position, and they'll just let Black Panther just gain victory points by delivering that herb by Medusa coming across the other side of the map. Maybe she should have hunted him down, sacrificed those 2 points she did get to try and stop Wakandans scoring 4 per round. But it was quite a bloodthirsty match as far as dazes and kills go. Inhumans did hold their own, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough against the Wakandans. So all that's left to say is thank you very much for taking the time to watch. It's greatly appreciated. If you'd like to leave any feedback down below in the comments, that would be greatly appreciated. And feel free to like and possibly even consider subscribing. And I'll catch you next time.